Hello. Sup, squadron? We know what's going on here. We know that I absolutely am required to spend the first 5 minutes of my video checking audio levels to make sure nothing's overwhelming the others, Gotta make sure everything's balanced. And then, because I have glasses and I want you guys to kind of be able to see me, there's just gonna be glare on my glasses, which is great. I think this is fine. Audio-wise, I think this is fine. It should be fine, right? Everything's gonna sound great. Everything sounds fine. Turning it down just a tish bit. Oh, someone's eating. For shame on that cat. The cat should not be eating. They should be up here being cute. I wonder if I do this, will it be a more even lighting? I guess, maybe. Trying to do things to make lighting. Oh, fuck the camera. Does it look any better? I guess, sure. Why not? Okay. So that's where I'm at right now. And if you look over here, there are 3 sleeping kittens and it's fucking adorable. But yeah, let's get into the stream. Let's get into the thick of it today. I'm not gonna lie, we're talking about the book the 7-Day Switch today. I'm not gonna lie to you, this book is absolutely would not have been on my radar if the book I read before it, which was Song of the Forever Rains, it would not have been on my radar if I didn't get both of those books for free through Prime Day mixed with this random pre-order book thing that Amazon does. I don't know, but I got the book from that, and it's not it's not something I would consider my style, but it was free, so I wanted to read it, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Let's just jump into it. Philip DeFranco, let's just jump into it. I didn't have my notes pulled up, and so it's gonna take me all of 4 seconds to get there, but we'll get there. Also, speaking of notes, in case you want to hop in and see because at least I'm trying to nowadays be so much better at doing full, hold on, let me pull this up. I'm trying to be better at doing full developed notes on these things now. So those notes, if you want them, are on my Patreon. So if you want to check that out, go to my Patreon. It only started with the Song of the Forever Rains, so you can go get those notes there, and these will be posted sometime this week for the 7-Day Switch. But let's start. So what happens in this book? First, you've got these 2 women. One is she's too busy for anybody. She's the great working mom. Her name's Wendy. The other one is the perfect stay-at-home mom. She's always doing. Okay, we refocused. The other one is the perfect stay-at-home mom. She's got all the crafts. She's doing all the DIYs. She's got so many Pinterest boards of stuff for kids. Those are the 2 moms that we're working with, and they don't like each other. Then they swap bodies, and I can't, there's not really much to say here. It's really hard for me to think of a way to give the breakdown, because it's not a bunch of complex things happening really. You see that Wendy's life 90% sucks, mostly because her husband is the most horrible human being in the world, and no one respects Celeste, who is the stay-at-home mom. No one respects her, and that's what we got. That's basically the story that they're finding out about each other. And they go through the usual Freaky Friday thing where one person had like a super important thing to do, and they were hoping they get this all figured out before then, but they don't. So the person in their body has to do it for them, and they do great. And that's where the movie that's where the Lindsay Lohan movie ended. That's where the book should have ended, but they didn't do that. Instead, they end up having them get into these ridiculous fucking like accidents. And one where like Celeste eats peanuts, but Wendy's body is allergic to peanuts, and so Celeste is like dying, and then Wendy's trying to like help her but gets hit in the face with a fucking softball, and now she's dying, and it's just it's too much for no goddamn reason. It's so much to happen just to pad out the length of the book. It does nothing except allow you to have the same redundant like messages that they've been putting on throughout the whole book, which like at the end of the book as well, she ends up like telling her husband she's gonna leave him, but we could have gotten that right after the speech or something like that. We didn't need this whole drama fest. My official opinion with this book, honestly, is first half of it's great. I love the first half of it, but when you get to that second half, it gets too redundant in it trying to like get across the messages that's gonna cross. It says the same thing in the exact same ways. It's just you might have like a different situation that prompts them to say the thing, and it gets really redundant. Then you have this whole thing that's focusing on this weird romance that's absolutely useless to the plot. Her husband, who they just put too much, we'll talk about it later, but they put too much time on trying to make him the absolute worst fucking human being that it makes it hard for me to buy into the book. And so my official opinion is read the first half, skip most of the second half, read the speech because Wendy is like a productivity consultant chick, and so she had this big speech to give, but Celeste has to give it, and read the speech that Celeste gives. It's a good speech. Then skip everything after that and go straight read through them like having a drink, because they believe that this vodka that Celeste put in some sangria was what caused their like switching. Read through to them like getting the drink to hopefully switch back. It doesn't work. It should have worked. So skipped everything from there until the after section, which is supposed to be like what happens after everyone's like switched back and like we've had some time to cope. That's the plan. That's what you should do. There's a solid chunk of this book that just felt like it was too redundant as well as just too unnecessary. Speaking of unnecessary, Davis. The character of Davis was absolutely fucking pointless. He is this guy that works with Wendy's office, and he has the biggest crush on her, and he's absolutely in love with her, but he wants to be respectful because she has a husband. And like, I guess the point of it was so Wendy knew that there were men that would treat her better than her husband. But I feel like it just is like it goes nowhere. I feel like it's not helpful to the plot, and I feel like it's a lazy way to try and have this character feel sure of herself by having a man that fawns over her, as opposed to just her being like, because when she's in Celeste's body, she recognizes that Celeste's husband is absolutely adoring of her. He wants nothing but the best for her, wants to make sure she's completely taken care of. He's willing to help out however way she needs. I feel like that should be more than enough for her to be like, I deserve better in a husband. I feel like that should have been more useful, especially because Davis doesn't even show up in the after part. They just throw it like quick sentence of like, maybe we'll go on a date. Like, he was given way too much time to literally forward the plot nowhere. That like maybe a good assistant, just an assistant that had no sexual tension in the book could have done. But they just put so much effort into like making him a thing, and they wanted to see if like her husband knowing that someone else was interested in her would make him a better man. I don't even know if the husband knew that Davis existed, let alone had been around the kids and whatnot. And I think that plot device was just thrown in, A, to be able to describe a very sexy man, and B, because he was, I believe, a black man, and they want to throw that bit out there. But it's just, his character is absolutely fucking useless. It doesn't, because I know this is a debate that's going on Twitter with like people like you don't want things that just don't like adds to the plot, but that's like what builds the world. He doesn't build the world. He is a stopping point. He is like, because this is something I fixate on a lot. I recognize when something is there to help develop the character. He doesn't do that. He is a crutch to say that the character has realized this thing, when like Celeste's husband was more than enough for her in that regard. And he is just a stopping point to get those like sexy dude vibes. He stops the plot. He does not help us in any way. Like, the fixation on the romance with him is such a grinding halt for me, and it's not necessary. She doesn't need to have another romance queued up. Like, it would be a better story if she didn't need another romance queued up in order to make this move. Especially because the book decides to make her husband literally a fucking cartoon villain. Like, so Celeste's husband, Seth, not only is he just neglectful of her and the home, and cause he's an artist and he's always at the studio, and he doesn't help out around because it takes his energy from his art. Not only is he neglectful of the home, not only does he talk about his son like he hates the fucking kid, but he also is specifically only allowed Wendy to have kids if she would do all of the fucking, like, everything related to the children. Like, absolutely everything related to taking care of the children and being a parent to the children. They agreed. They made a deal that he would have nothing to do with that, and then she could have kids, which is this not something they discussed prior to, like, getting married, for one? For two, is this not something that you, like, is a big enough red flag to get you to leave them? Like, I feel like that's such a big red flag that this man has no interest in being in your children's life, that, yes, I want children, but I also want a family. And I'm not looking for a sperm donor. I'm looking for a father, a husband. So if that's going to be the case, that should have notified you. And then, as well as all of these other things, as well, like, we also learn about a scene where he almost abuses his child. Like, she has gum in her hair, and he's just, like, grabbing at her and cutting her whole hair off. And, like, that's traumatizing the child. But alongside all of that, he also cheats on her, which, like, I just feel like it would have been, listen to this motherfucking dude. This is a specific quote that I read it. I was immediately like, I understand that, like, I can't understand why they would be together at this point. Here we go. The quote, this is him saying this, because he's complaining that she's working on her planners for her job. And he's like, yeah, they're beautiful planners, sure. And you've never been sexier than after 2 C-sections. And I love eating frozen meals every day and cutting chewing gum out of my daughter's hair. And no, this lifestyle doesn't make me want to run away in the night to a place where you can never find me. Like, how is that not something that... Because I'm sure he never apologized. I'm sure he never said anything about, like, he never apologized. I'm sure he never, like, took the words back, said, like, tried to talk it out with her. I'm sure, why, I can't fathom why they would be together if this is, like, the type of person he is, you know? Like, I honestly am starting to, like, have doubts that I even believe he would have agreed to get married. But whatever. His character was cartoonishly villainish, and it made it really hard for me to get into that. like get into and buy into his aspect of the story. And there was also the idea that like like last minute in the book they kept trying to say that Celeste was trying to like feel better than the other moms. She was trying to be better, like she was trying to feel superior than the other moms. That never came across at all, because it's at this point they're talking about like do things to satisfy yourself, do things to make yourself happy. And Celeste's like, I do like doing these crafts and these stuff like that, but I was trying to make myself feel better and like be superior than the other moms. And frankly, I just never saw that. She always just seemed like someone who was new to town and really wanted friends, but because she is a stay-at-home mom, people looked down on that and didn't give her respect for that. And I also could see that there were times like a quote that I really fucking love in this: why have I taken the life I always dreamed of and turned it into something that has to justify its own existence? I felt that from her. I never felt like there was a point where she was trying to be a superior mom or feel like she was a superior mom in any way because she was staying at home. That never like came across, but they just started like throwing that out there in the end, which is another reason why I was like, you guys just you should have stopped a while ago. Cut it while you were ahead. That way you didn't need to try and make up a bunch of stuff to fill the air and keep having learning lessons throughout the whole book. A couple other things I want to discuss. At some point, Wendy and Celeste's body is trying to go to the gym because she in her own body loves working out, and she wanted to try and like do a little good to help Celeste. And Celeste hadn't worked out in forever and is struggling to work out, but there's also like this point where they just throw out that she's having like she has a severe issue in her stomach when she's trying to do sit-ups, and so she really shouldn't do any core workouts until she can get checked out by a doctor. And then we just kind of leave that there. We just kind of leave that there and refer to it as the stomach that can't do a sit-up. But like that was a health issue, and we never addressed it. And it would have at least been decent to have been like, hey, she gets hit with the softball in the stomach, and that like causes the issue that she never really addressed in her life to like be like to come forth and be something she has to deal with. And like that would have been interesting, but no, they just kind of throw it out there and then leave it. And it's another like random detail that they throw in, and then literally like they have this setup to follow it through, but they don't. So I just don't understand why tell us that she has this like health issue. It doesn't help build up the character. Like there are other ways that we can see that she puts her kids so far first that she doesn't really tend to herself and her own needs. There are other ways, like even just the fact that she hasn't been to the gym ever, she hasn't done a workout ever, she doesn't really buy clothes to like make herself look good. Like that's the type of stuff that like really that does help the plot line. Even in the book, there's this, they keep referring to this hole in Wendy's wall that she doesn't want to fix because she's overwhelmed and exhausted, and then her husband's not fixing it because you can't rush an artist. And they keep coming back to that hole in the wall, and it's so well done the way they keep referencing it. And it helps, like, the more they talk about and the more you realize how long this hole has been in the wall, the more you realize how faulted her life and her marriage are. But then you have something like this where they just throw it out there. It does nothing to really show anything to the character that every other aspect of her has, and then they don't address it ever again. It doesn't world build for me. It's just throwing things out there to throw things out there, and it's a waste. It feels like such a waste of like the time that I read this, because they did like a whole half a page just got like talking about how you have this health issue, and then they proceed to never make it at all relevant. They just made a big deal out of literally nothing, and it's irritating. Ugh. Maybe I'll just never be able to see this side of the debate. The side of the debate of like, you can just throw anything in there. Like, I mean, building up character and developing character and developing the scene. Yes, I get that, but you can't throw any just random sentence in there, random fact in the story. and you have to sew it in. It's not a splatter. It's not like throwing paint at a wall. It's a sewing project. Everything needs to go together. And so when you just throw something out there, it is jarring the experience. It pulls me out of the story. That's my opinion. That's my official opinion. It's the difference between throwing in something and throwing paint at a wall versus sewing in a detail to the story. There. I am running very low on time. There were so many other things I wanted to discuss, but this is why we're going to be posting the notes on my Patreon. I want to read for you guys a couple, because I honestly found this book to be really funny. And there were also like a lot of really good quotes that I really liked. Like the one that I read earlier, why have I taken the life I've dreamed of and turned it into something that has to justify its own experience? I love that quote. I'm obsessed with that quote. Let me find you some of the like really fun, really cute, and funny lines. Oh, I love this one. Where Wendy says, I was there, sure, when Seth and I decided together that he would pursue his passion and I would pursue our health insurance. Like, that's hilarious. That's really funny. Please listen carefully as the menu options have changed. It tells me, and I wonder, who exactly calls about a boot on their car enough times to master the impound line menu? Like, this book's funny. It's just that second half really, really declines for me. Should I read for you? I'm gonna read for you this part of that speech that I really loved, okay? And this will probably be the end of the stream. Women, we can get free from the idea that the only way to be a strong, successful feminist is to work yourself into the ground, I cry, realizing the truth of what I say in the exact moment I'm saying it. We don't have to compete with each other anymore. I think of the sangria, the cookie auction, the softball tryouts, and that stupid magazine-worthy pantry I thought would be the answer to everyone's problems. We don't have to work ourselves to death. We may not have mastered every one of our life's dreams yet, but we have not crossed off our bucket lists or achieved our max potential or even washed our hair in 5 days. I let the laugh wave over us and see a couple of women self-consciously touch their ponytails. But there's a season for everything, and our job today is to figure out which one we are in and embrace it. We are enough as is, right now, exactly where we are, no matter what or who we're not. Like, that right there is exactly why I'm like, you have to go back and read frankly, the speech goes on for a long time. I'm the type of person who probably needs like 3 or 4 times of seeing like an inspirational thing for the message to maybe sink in, and I'll go back and like read an inspirational thing or a motivational thing just to like re-get the message in. So I don't mind that it goes on for a long time and it's a bit redundant. I don't mind that, but like that paragraph right there is exactly why I insist on you going back and reading the speech that she does. I think the book has a lot of really good things to say. I think it is a good like motivation to, you know, stop competing as women, stop feeling pressured to be every other mom and every kind of mom, because your kind of mom can be a good kind of mom. It's just there are some failings in the books, and I can't ignore that. I gave the book like 3 stars on Goodreads and Amazon, but I do think it is worth the first time read, and every other time you know what to skip. That's Chip. I'm Brianna Sigiona Bond, and until next time, valedictions, friends. Wait, I'm reading Benty next time, by the way. Benty is the next book we will be going over. Ciao.